In order to grow, you gotta go. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me for a new video. If you're here for the first time, my name is Kevin, and on my channel, I put together videos that are meant to motivate you, inspire you, and help you achieve the best version of you. So stick around for the video. Hopefully you like what you see. Give the video a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, so I'm gonna give you a quick story before we get into this so you understand exactly what I'm trying to feed your brain today. A number of years ago, I was working in a job that I loved very, very much. Great employer, great employees. Everything was fantastic. I loved every minute of working. Of course, every job has its quirks and which one doesn't, but this job I really, really liked, and I had no beef with staying there for as long as I did. However, there came a point when I needed to see some progress in my life. And I was forced to make a very difficult decision. And I was stuck at this crossroads between wanting to stay there longer and needing to leave. And I struggled with this for several months, actually. I knew I needed to go, but I just wasn't having the right courage or the right reason. I kept talking myself out of leaving. And then I came across someone who mentioned this quote: "In order to grow, you gotta go." And when I first heard it, I was taken back for a little bit, and I thought to myself, that is actually really profound. And there was a whole conversation that was around that quote. But in a nutshell, what it was this. Sometimes in life, we are faced with situations that we are in. Some could be work. For some, it could be relationships. It could be a number of different things. But you're at a point where you're at the end of your rope. You can't make this situation work to your benefit anymore. And in order for you to be able to develop yourself in life and continue moving forward, you gotta go. If you're around for my last video where I talked about getting out of your lane, this is sort of a follow-up to that. Because when you leave your lane and when you leave your comfort zone, that is where growth begins. Going outside of that comfort zone, making the hard decision to leave. Are you in a position right now where in order to grow, you gotta go? If you know that situation, what it is in your life, you put it on in the comments and let me know what it is, and let's have a conversation about it. Now, we all know we're gonna have difficult decisions to make throughout the journey of our life. But I wanna give you a couple of things to think about as you might be in a position right now where you're making that difficult decision, whether you should leave or whether you should stay. Now, one thing you have to remember is that any decision you make today will affect the rest of your life. Now, I've talked in previous videos about we are not defined by our past. We have all been through things. We all have some sort of baggage that has probably brought us to where we are today. But just where we are today doesn't mean it needs to be where we are tomorrow. Just because we're not defined by our past doesn't mean we should be carrying that around for the rest of our lives. We have the opportunity today to start making those changes. So I want you to start putting in your mind, what is it that my future might look like? I heard it in another way. Think about this decision that you're struggling to make right now. What would life be like at the age of 70? Now, of course, we all don't know how long we're going to live, but let's just imagine for a second. If you knew you could turn 70, however many years away that is for you, some it's closer than others, but that time frame, would you be happy at the age of 70 sticking with the same situation you're in right now without making that determination that you need to go? In life, we can get so caught up being busy, running from one thing to the other. And what we're trying to do is almost just put a band-aid over that very difficult decision that we're trying to make. We figure if I can get through this for just another month, I'll be fine. But those are short-term pauses that you're giving yourself to deal with it. Think about the long term. Now, it's possible that many of us don't want to make the hard decision because we're also afraid of failure. I'm sure we can all attest to this at some point in our lives where we paused on making a very difficult decision because we were afraid we were going to make the wrong one. Life is all about choices. And some are going to be ones that you'll win at and some you're going to lose at. But sticking where you are out of fear is ridiculous. There's a saying I heard called fear is the false evidence appearing real. And many times what we do is we convince ourselves of all these negative things. We think about all the negatives that are going to happen, and we paint this picture, and then we go, oh, you know what? It's better for me to stay. But that's false evidence that you're trying to make it real when it's not real. Do not be afraid of making mistakes. Yes, sometimes if we do things in a kind of rash way, we're not really taking the time to have that deep conversation with ourselves. We're not taking the time to think about the future. We're making decisions kind of on a whim. Yeah, you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes that way. But if you take the time to sit down, think wholeheartedly, think about all the things you need to do, likely not going to make a mistake. I know it's easy for us to think very one-track mind. We know what we want, and we block out everything everyone else is saying because we really just want to hear ourselves. But that's also can be very dangerous. And so making the time to sort of bounce the ideas and listen to what other people have to say can help you make those difficult decisions. Now you have to be sure though that if you're going to do that, that you're actually willing to listen to what people are going to tell you. Some are going to say things that you don't want to hear, and some will say exactly what you want to hear. And somewhere in the middle is probably exactly what you need to hear. One of the most critical things, I think it's overlooked more often than people would want to admit, is that when it comes to making hard decisions about making the time in your life to go, is we put everybody else's happiness in front of our own. And you have to ask yourself, are you going to be happy with the end result? Because many times we can make decisions based on our kids, our family. We don't want to upset the boss. We don't want to upset someone else. We want to just put everyone else's thoughts and opinions and feelings first place. It's not selfish to make sure that you are happy. If you look around, I'm sure you probably have some friends who are miserable at some point in their life. And it's because they've made decisions just based on everybody else and putting them first. But are you going to be happy with the end result? In order to grow, you gotta go. What is it that you're waiting for? What is it you're holding on to? What is it that you need to let go of in order to grow? Until next time, peace and love.